This is a story about what happened after a hurricane. And it's a story about some very brave children like you and a very creative teacher like your teacher. Well, after the hurricane, they went back to school and everything was wet from all the water and all the flooding. But the teacher looked up on the shelf very high and she saw some newspapers that were dry. And she thought, well, I can teach children with newspapers. So she gave the children newspapers and they found letters in their name and they found words they could read and they talked about the pictures and what the pictures meant. And after a while, the teacher noticed it was still raining outside and she thought, you know, if my children had rain hats, we could go out in the rain and we could have a science lesson. So she showed them how to turn their newspapers into rain hats. And they put their rain hats on and they went outside and they talked about all the things that we use water for. They talked about the water cycle. But while they were out there, they heard this noise. Do you know what it was? That's right, it was a fire truck. And the teacher thought, well, if my children had fire helmets, we could put on our fire helmets and help the firefighters. So they turned the rain hats into fire helmets, and they even used them like scoops and threw water out on the fire. Now, after a while, the teacher looked down at the road, and there was all this water, and it reminded her of pirates. So they turned their fire helmets into pirate hats. And they put their pirate hats on and they talked all about pirates. And then the teacher thought, wouldn't it be fun if the pirates had their own boats? So they took their pirate hats and they turned them into boats. They went floating down the road and they ran into a big rock and the front of their boat came off. They floated down the road a little bit more and they ran into a tree and the back of the boat came off. They floated down the road a little bit more and they went under a low bridge and the top of their boat came off. Now, anybody else would have been a nervous wreck, but not that creative teacher, because you know what? That teacher knew the children had on life preservers and they put on their life preservers and they swam safely back to school. And then they talked about all their adventures. And this is a story that reminds me so much of all of your wonderful teachers because they make things right and they keep you safe and you always know that you're going to have a good time at school and your teacher's going to take care of you. Thank you for listening to my story.